is up, everybody? Welcome to the Z Swig Show, episode 002, but actually I think there's 4 zeros. 00000002. In case I do 6 trillion episodes, I don't want them to get out of order on the RSS feed. That's the whole idea. What's up, everybody? Welcome. It's the first live episode. We're doing it today at duo.com/live. Of course, you can check out the Z Swig Show homepage at duo.com/ZSwigs. That's DEWOH.com/ZSWIGGS. Probably the hardest URL of all time to spell. I acknowledge it. I will not apologize for it. Today on the show, we're going to talk about a lot of Nintendo stuff again. I don't know why. I feel like Xbox, PlayStation, all their stuff is being held for E3. And Nintendo, we covered last week, isn't doing an E3. So I think that they're kind of doing a lot of cool stuff right now to just kind of keep the interest up. So they finally detailed some stuff about Breath of the Wild, the first DLC. There was a cool contest having on at Uniqlo, the clothing company. And there's finally some Amiibo details. But speaking of PlayStation's E3, they've also got some details on that. So welcome to the show, guys. I'm here every Friday live at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, or Daylight Time, just Central Time, whatever time it is, at duo.com/live, DEWOH.com/live. And of course, the audio version is available at all times on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. Just search Z Swig Show. We're going to come up. So if you're joining me for the first time, which I imagine most of you are because I did one episode, but it was a pilot, most of the show is going to be about the things I don't talk about on the weekly reset. So, for example, some of you may know that the weekly reset began as a show called the Weekly DLC that I did with Unofficial Tony P. And it turned out that Unofficial Tony P didn't play a lot of games. He loves to play video games. He just loves to play them with people. He's not big at playing them by himself, and there's no fault in that. That's just the way he is. So a lot of the stuff we ended up talking about on the weekly DLC was just me kind of talking about it and Unofficial Tony P going, oh, that's cool. And ever since we just changed to the weekly reset and started doing a Destiny-centric podcast, I've always wanted to jump back into the other video game stuff that I care about, which is, the Nintendos, the PlayStations, the single-player experiences. And then I also need someone to talk about to share my love of video game toys. If you're watching the video, you'll see there's tons of toys all around me. That's just like half. Literally, I have a cabinet over here to the side that has over 100 Amiibo in it. I mean, my love for things that are collectibles knows no bounds, and I'm proud of that as well. So on this show, we're going to talk about everything but Destiny that I care about, and we're also going to talk about toys and games and just all-around fun, nerdy things, and I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you stick around and you enjoy it, and we're going to jump right into it right now. So the first thing, the top story of the day, Nintendo finally gave some detail on the Breath of the Wild DLC Pack 1. Now, there's going to be 2 DLC. One of them, which was just quality of life improvements, and that's what we're going to look at right here. And then the second, unannounced, but we know it's going to be story updates. It's going to be a DLC with extra story. So we could speculate all day about what that's going to be, and I would love that. But got to stop that hype train. Let's start it right here. So, basically, on May 1st, just a few days ago, they announced the first DLC, the first of 2 to come out. It involves like Twilight Princess had a trial mode where, if you bought the HD edition, it's Cave of Shadows. You could jump right in and basically just work your way through level after level where the enemies get increasingly more and more difficult. And that's exactly what this is going to be. So they have the Trial of the Sword. It says the Trial of the Sword will include a gauntlet of enemies that appear one after another. Link initially starts without armor or weapons, but we can pick them up as he progresses. The trial will contain roughly 45 different rooms, which could prove to be challenging even for the most veteran players. And that's going to be a lot of fun. The Cave of Shadows was a pain. It was very hard, but pretty rewarding. Twilight Princess combat, I think, was actually probably my least favorite thing of the game. They tried to break some conventions and do new things with Twilight Princess. They had special moves that if you did them at the right time, Link would do special things. And that was a cool step for the series, but Breath of the Wild, I feel, has the best combat of all the Zelda games. It feels the most fluid. And Trial of the Sword, I think, will be the best way to do the game, just because you get the fun new Trial of the Sword stuff. So in Trial of the Sword, you're going to have 45 different rooms. You're going to start with no weapons, no shields. I'm assuming you can keep your Sheikah slate. That sounds like it's going to be kind of like a horde mode on steroids. And the 45 rooms, I mean, I could speculate all day about what's going to be in 45 rooms. I mean, whatever room you put the Lionel in first, that's the hardest room. And then where do you go from there? Do you put Ganon in a room? It's going to be pretty intense, I think. Going on 45 rooms is a lot. And I wonder if they'll have puzzles. I don't know. They could have some shrine-like puzzles as well, so that'll be interesting to see. Also, we knew this one was coming, a hard mode. Basically, it's just going to change the rank of the enemies found in the game. So, blue will become silver, and so on and so forth. This doesn't really make me that interested. Honestly, I've played so much Breath of the Wild that all the enemies are pretty much the hardest they can be now. I mean, I guess I won't run into any orange boblicans anymore, but I mean, there's really no difference between orange and blue. So, I mean, all the Lionels I run to are already silver. Most of the moblins, most of the boblicans are already silver. The Lizafults are mostly all silver. So it'll be interesting to just turn this on and give you a little bit of fun. It might be fun to start a new game and run it on hard. That might be an interesting challenge. But overall, hard mode's exactly what I think we all expected. So if you're into that sort of thing, that sort of punishing game, jump in, have some fun with that. The next one is Hero's Path. This one is said to track your journey across 200 hours of the game. Now, I think we may need to scroll down here to the actual press release, but it says, exploring Hyrule is exciting, but with such a large world, it's sometimes hard for players to remember where they've been. To help with tracking progress, the new Hero's Path mode will document every step players take and mark their path in green on the map. The route will be tracked for the player's last 200 hours of playtime with an included slider to track footsteps on a timeline. This even works retroactively, so players that have already put many hours in the game will be able to see where they have traveled. This feature will help in identifying the locations they haven't visited in the vast world and may help players find those shrines they haven't encountered yet. So that's exactly the question I had was, is this retroactive? Because I put nearly 200 hours into Breath of the Wild already. This is awesome. This is one of the first of a few things they've added in with this DLC that I actually consider a quality of life update, because there are 900 Koroks in this game, and finding them all is a pain, and this is definitely one of the ways it's going to help. Also, it's just going to be cool to kind of see where I went. And I would love to export this as a movie or as, a GIF file and just have it so I can see this is how I played Breath of the Wild the first time, and just always keep that and always know that. And I think that would be super sweet to just see. I'd really enjoy that. But that's really cool. Another thing they're adding for quality of life is a travel medallion. Basically, you can find a new treasure chest now in the world that contains the travel medallion. It allows players to create a fast travel point anywhere on the map. Honestly, this is cool. I mean, there will be some uses for this. I'm sure that there's some places that you'll want to go, maybe a high top mountain, or, like there's places in Gerudo that are just kind of a pain to get to, and this will help with that. It kind of depends maybe on how many fast travel places you can put. If you can collect multiple medallions, that would be huge. If it's just one, But honestly, there's so many shrines. If you found all 120 shrines, there's pretty much nowhere on the map that you couldn't just jump quickly to. Maybe one in Hyrule Castle would be useful, just finding somewhere easy inside Hyrule Castle. That might be cool to have too. So check that one out if you, and let me know where you put those, because I'd be pretty interested. Now the most kind of question mark ones that come up, is like, what is Nintendo doing here, is this costumes. So they're adding Majora's mask, a Korok mask, Midna's helmet, and they're adding a bunch of new armor sets. Now, the Korok mask is the only one they really detailed, and basically what it'll do is kind of rumble when an enemy is nearby. Nintendo says that the Korok mask, by finding the new Korok mask, players will have a much easier time finding Korok locations in the game. When equipped, the mask will shake, indicating that a Korok is hidden nearby. There's also 8 new pieces of equipment inspired by previous characters and games in the series will be added. Once discovered by the player, they will use equipment themed after fan-favorite games such as Midna, Tingle, Phantom, and Majora's Mask. So they haven't really said what these are going to be for, but it's pretty sweet to see, these masks and just kind of speculate what they could be. I mean, the armor, I assume, will give you some type of power, like I couldn't even begin to speculate what Tingle would do, but like Phantom may give you extra attack, for example. It'll be like the Barbarian armor, but Majora's Mask, like these masks are completely new. I didn't expect masks to show up. I mean, there are masks in the game, but they only work for blending in with monsters. So it's going to be interesting to see what you can do with these types of masks. And I mean, the armor looks sweet. I mean, they've only released pictures of this one and the Tingle armor, and it's certainly cool. I really, in Zelda, I don't wear armor based on the look, though. I wear it based on its function. So I don't know. I'm hyped about it, but really, honestly, the thing I'm most hyped about is that tracking. I'm really hyped about tracking, and I'm really hyped about the Trial of the Sword. I think those are going to be the coolest things in the game added in, and I'm pretty psyched to see those things come in. So next, keeping on that Nintendo lineup here, Uniqlo, a Japanese retailer, every year does a global T-shirt design partnership with Nintendo where they let fans come up with a T-shirt design, and the winner gets it made. This year's offering are fantastic. It says they received over 1,600 entries. After careful selection and the process carried out by Shigeru Miyamoto, the creator of Mario and the Nintendo team, the following creations were selected. Congratulations to our winner. So the number one is by, Takashi Kawazoe, who made this awesome Jumping Mario red T-shirt. And it's like 16-bit Mario. It's like the same you'd see in the Amiibos or on the 30th anniversary. It's the old school Mario, but the shirt is the same color as his overalls, and he's kind of at an angle, and he's jumping, and then it's got a white M on the back. It looks fantastic. Second place is probably my favorite shirt of the top three, honestly, is this Inkling Squid from Splatoon, made with multicolored ink blots. And it says, as someone trying to become a creator, I couldn't be happier. I want to take away the experience, feeling joyful and reflecting my future activities. The Japanese, that's from Shino Yamazaki, who made this squid shirt. The third place is from David Ricardo Flores Gomez from Mexico, and he was the very first Mexican to win the prize. This is a really cool kind of front and back picture of... it's a Zelda shirt. It's kind of like, how ants make tunnels in the dirt? That's exactly what this reminds me of. It shows, this giant creature on the surface, and then underneath it shows more creatures and Skulltulas, and it's a cool looking... it's basically what it's showing is the Twilight Realm, essentially, or, in A Link to the Past, Between Worlds, when you can kind of flip between darkness and light. That's what this shirt is showing, and it does it a really cool way with almost like shadows and green. You really have to look at it. It's a sweet-looking shirt, and it's an all-over design, which are really cool right now. And so those are the top three, but, man, all of the shirts here, like they have just the runners-up, I guess. Like they have a white shirt with a king card, but it's Magikarp as the face card on the card itself, the playing card. They also have an embroidered Mario on this awesome Mario pattern shirt, which I'm super psyched to see. They've also got a lined Pikachu, a big old star. They've got a pocket that's a pipe, and Mario and Luigi are sitting in it, so it looks like they're going into the pipe. They've got a lot of cool patterns. They got old school Donkey Kong shirts. They've got Mr. Rossetti on a shirt that says "Life Cannot Be Reset." They've got a cool Metroid one. I mean, they've got a ton of shirts here and a lot for everybody. They've got things from every single series that you would probably care about: Super Mario, Pokemon, Star Fox, Pikmin, Kirby, Legend of Zelda, Animal Crossing, Splatoon, Metroid, and Donkey Kong. And I'm going to have to pick up a bunch of these shirts, I feel like. They go on sale for pre-orders, I believe, on the 18th of May at 9 p.m. I'm gonna assume that's Eastern time. I'm not sure, but yeah, definitely check those out. I don't know how much they cost yet, but I'm super excited to get my hands on a few of these shirts. And Uniqlo usually has some pretty cheap stuff with great designs and pretty good quality. So if you haven't had a chance to check out them as a retailer, they're not too big here in the States yet. They've only come around, recently. They're only in a few big cities right now, but they make some pretty sweet stuff. And the fact that this Nintendo stuff is going to be available here in the States and it's so well designed, super excited about it. So you can check out the designs yourself. It's at Uniqlo, UNIQLO.com/UTGP2017. So Uniqlo.com/UTGP2017. And that'll take you to the Japanese side. You can click the English version, and it'll be you can see all these designs for yourself. So again, super hyped about these awesome designs. I think they're going to be sweet. So moving on to the next thing, keeping it Nintendo. As you know, it's been a few weeks. The last time Nintendo did a Direct, they announced some new Amiibo. So they announced a few Zelda, a few Fire Emblem, a Pikmin one, and then the final Smash Amiibo. So you got Link from Majora's Mask, Cecilia and Alm from Fire Emblem, and then you got Skyward Sword Link, Twilight Princess Link, Bayonetta, Corrin, and Cloud in Player 1 and Player 2 variations. So they're pretty cool, actually. But they did say there was some exclusivity on these, and we finally know where the exclusives are. So Bayonetta and Majora's Mask Link are both exclusive to Best Buy. Super happy to get my hands on that Link. That Majora's Mask Link is probably going to be my favorite Amiibo of all time. And then Amazon has Player 2 Corrin. I believe that's Player 2. Let me double check. Yes, Player 2 Corrin and Skyward Sword Link. And then GameStop has Twilight Princess Link and Player 2 Cloud. So the Player 1 variations of Cloud, Bayonetta, and Corrin are going to be available at all retailers, but the Player 2s are exclusive with Bayonetta at Best Buy, Corrin at Amazon, and Cloud at GameStop. And then they split up the three links. Majora's Mask Link at Best Buy, Skyward Sword Link at Amazon, and Twilight Princess Link at GameStop. So be sure to check those out, guys. I mean, if you're into Amiibos as much as I am, we've been waiting on these Smash Amiibos for forever, it feels like. So I'm really excited that they're finally out there, and we got a bunch of variations on it, which is more than we could have hoped for in the first place. So overall pretty excited about these new Amiibo, and you can never have too many Link Amiibo. And this Majora's Mask one, I could fanboy out about it all day long. So super pumped to see it as well. And go pick those up if you can get the chance. I think most of the links are sold out, but maybe you'll get lucky finding them someplace that isn't an aftermarket eBay type store. And then the final story today is PlayStation has finally announced their E3 conference. It's not really anything surprising because they didn't really talk about anything that's going to be there, obviously. But E3 this year is interesting because it's the first E3 where the public is allowed to attend. It used to be basically invite only for members of the media. And this year, for the first time, it's going to be open to the public. And PlayStation didn't really change much. They're going to have it the same place they've had it for the past few years, the Shrine Auditorium in Expo Hall in LA. And it starts, the only thing really we want to know is that it starts on Tuesday, June 13th at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. So, we could speculate all day about what's going to be at PlayStation, but I mean, I'm looking forward, obviously, to Destiny 2, to some Last of Us 2, to some Uncharted, some God of War 3 being there. Days Gone should show up there. The Spider-Man game should make an appearance there. I'm hoping for some Kingdom Hearts 3. I mean, the hype level for this year's PlayStation E3 is probably the largest it's ever been. And then Xbox's isn't much farther behind because we expect them to talk about Scorpio at their E3 presentation. So this E3 is turning out, I think, to be one of the biggest E3s of all time. And the fact the public is going to be there kind of makes it, really, it's going to be different. And I think it's going to be different in a good way. So I'm really hyped about that. And I'm really excited to see all the things they talk about at the PlayStation conference. So, guys, that's it. That's it for my show. I like to keep them short and sweet. I just like to come on here, talk about the things that are really cool. I think really one final story I have is Mario Kart. I kind of talked about this last week, but if you like my show, chances are you're going to like Mario Kart 8. And it was the fastest selling game in the Mario Kart franchise ever, which is a little surprising considering that there was one for the Wii. That was huge. But Mario Kart 8 is bar none the best Mario Kart. I've always been a fan of Mario Kart 64. I thought it drove the best. I thought it handled items the best. And relatively speaking, its battle mode was the best. I mean, there were only 4 tracks, but it was in 64, so you got to kind of keep that in mind. But, you know, and all the Mario Karts that came out afterwards didn't really feel the same as Mario Kart 64 to me. Like, Double Dash had that double gimmick. The Wii U, or the Wii version, was kind of floaty a little bit to me, so I wasn't a huge fan of the way they handled drifting and such in that game. And, I mean, there were a couple DS versions that were pretty good. The original Mario Kart DS I thought was good, and Mario Kart 7 for the DS was also pretty good. But those are portables. You know, there's nothing like seeing it in HD on your screen, or, you know, in the case of the U and the GameCube, Wii U, or the Wii and the GameCube, just seeing them on a big screen, which you can't do with the DS. And so when Mario Kart 8 came out for the Wii U, it was the best Mario Kart I'd ever played. The only problem with it was its bad battle mode. It sucked. The battle mode was basically phoned in. But the actual racing experience was the best Mario Kart I've ever played. It surpassed 64. It had the best characters. The graphics were just so sparkly shiny. It ran at 60 FPS. And it had a ton of tracks. And even the DLC tracks were amazing, which is, I mean, they set the bar for how DLC should be. So the reason I gave you this preamble is if you're like most people out there, obviously, who didn't get a Wii U and play Mario Kart 8, if you have a Switch, or if you don't have a Switch, right now, getting a Wii or getting a Switch for Mario Kart 8 and Breath of the Wild, I think, is a worthwhile purchase. If you're into a game world like Breath of the Wild, if you played Skyrim, and you just love to explore, or, you know, you played Fallout, or, you know, any of these open world games where exploration is really the key. Zelda isn't really strong on story. So, I mean, if you liked The Witcher, you'll probably like it, but you got to go into Zelda for the world and not for the story, where in The Witcher you kind of go in for both. But if you don't have a Switch and you can find one and you can afford it, I would definitely pick up that Mario Kart 8 bundle. It's the multiplayer, playing with people, just take it anywhere with you, and you have instant 2-player Mario Kart is fantastic. The online is great. The battle mode is fantastic. They brought back double items, which is another thing kind of held it back from the N64 era. And they added basically the noob mode, where you can't really fall off the track. It kind of had bumpers to the side, which you can turn on and off, but, you know, people who are bad at the game, or if you have young children or something, it's huge. I just cannot sing the praises enough of Mario Kart 8. So if you have the opportunity and you have the means, it's definitely worth picking up a Switch right now, to get you through this little lull period between now and, you know, the August timeframe, when undoubtedly a bunch of great new games are going to start coming out. Because you can easily sink 200 hours into Zelda and not feel bored. And Mario Kart 8 is a great palate cleanser for any other game you're playing. You're going to have a blast no matter when you pick it up. And, I mean, the tracks, the music, the graphics, the characters, it's a fantastic game. It's basically flawless. The only flaw I have with it is that I already own it for the Wii U. So if you don't have it for any system and you're considering getting a Switch, it's absolutely worth it to get a Switch right now for Mario Kart 8. So, guys, that is it for the show. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it. And yeah, check it out, guys. Every week on Friday, I'm going to start doing this. It's going to be live on Fridays. So check it out at duo.com/live. It's DEWOH.com/live. And you can, of course, download the audio version at, well, basically anywhere. Podcasts, iTunes, podcasts on Google, podcasts on Stitcher. But you can find all the links and everything you want to watch the show, listen to the show at duo.com/ZSwigs. That's where the show lives. And guys, thank you so much for watching. I will see you all next week.